Hey, Shanna here. Welcome to my channel all about finding joy while learning to live well with autoimmunity. I am so glad to have you here. So today I'm going to be talking about tips for reducing pain and inflammation. So I recently received a DM on Instagram saying, Shanna, do you have any tips, ideas on how I can reduce my pain and inflammation? Yes, I do. A lot of times when we are living with autoimmunity, we have periods of time where we feel like we have a lot of pain and inflammation going on. And when that happens, it can feel like we don't have control. It can feel like we're at the mercy of our pain, at the mercy of our inflammation. And in reality, there's a lot that we can do to reduce our pain and reduce our inflammation. And so today I'm going to share with you some tips for reducing pain and inflammation. The first thing to understand, and something that I think is really amazing, is that our bodies have a natural inflammation process. So in other words, they inflame and then they anti-inflame. I got to learn all about it as I was studying to be a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, and I was geeking out. I thought it was so amazing. With that said, our body's natural inflammation process, it needs a variety of nutrients in order to support that process, in order for that inflammation process to function optimally. For example, fats play an incredibly important role in that process. So my first tip for reducing pain and inflammation is to eat a nutrient-dense diet filled with anti-inflammatory foods, and also finding the right macro balance for you. So if you're like, Shanna, hold up, macro balance what? I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm talking about macro balancing your meals. I'm talking about finding the right combination of fat, carbs in the form of veggies, and protein for your body. Keep it in mind, bio-individuality, meaning what works best for my body is gonna look different than what works best for your body, and vice versa. So Shanna, I want to start macro balancing my meals, but what ratios do I start out, and how do I figure out what my ratios are? Good question. Good starting place is the Cronometer website or app. They have a free version that is wonderful. The really cool thing about Cronometer is that you enter everything that you eat in it, and it tells you not only your macro balance ratios, it also tells you what kind of micronutrients that you're getting, what kind of minerals. It's really a great resource, but don't overwhelm yourself. Just take it one step at a time, and first focus on what your fat, protein, and carbs in the form of veggie ratios are. A good starting point is to aim for 30% fat, 30% protein, and 40% carbs in the form of veggies. And then from there, you can see how you feel and kind of adjust those ratios. See if you feel better eating a little bit more fat, or maybe a little bit more protein, or maybe a little bit more veggies in the form of carbs. Your macronutrient needs are also going to be dependent on your activity levels. So your macronutrient needs are dependent on a lot of things, but making sure that you are getting enough healthy fats in particular is really going to help with your body's natural inflammation process. Another tip for reducing pain and inflammation as far as what we eat goes is make sure that we're not eating foods that increase our pain, that increase our inflammation, that are doing exactly the opposite of what we want. So that one can be really hard, because I know that when we're in pain, when we're experiencing inflammation, when we're uncomfortable in our own bodies, in our own skins, when it feels like our body is the enemy and it's like launching an outright attack on us, the first thing many of us want to do is grab our comfort foods, is reach for that chocolate, or reach for that tub of mint and chip ice cream, or reach for whatever, or maybe all the things. It's really important to understand that every food that we put in our body has the potential to increase our inflammation or decrease our inflammation. Likewise, every food that we put in our body has the opportunity to either increase our health and wellness or to decrease our health and wellness. Another tip for reducing pain and inflammation when it comes to what we're eating, what we're putting in our body, is that while it is incredibly important to eat a nutrient-dense whole foods diet, it is also incredibly important that we are addressing any digestion issues that we have. So tip for reducing pain and inflammation, remove foods that are inflammatory. So we want to eat anti-inflammatory foods, foods that naturally in our body help reduce inflammation. So some foods that you definitely want to exclude if you're experiencing pain and inflammation are things like sugar, processed foods, artificial additives, artificial ingredients, fast food, those types of things. If you are diagnosed with an autoimmune disease and you have not already, I highly encourage you to eliminate gluten at the very least. I highly encourage an elimination diet if you have an autoimmune disease, if you have a lot of pain and inflammation. Autoimmune Protocol AIP is an incredible elimination diet that actually has 3 phases. It has an elimination phase, a reintroduction phase, and a maintenance phase. It changed my life and it has helped me a lot with pain and inflammation. If you need help with that, I have a lot of free videos and resources resources. I also have an AIP online course to like walk you through all the ins and outs of AIP, including mindset, lifestyle, and nutrition. And I do one-on-one coaching. Another tip when it comes to reducing pain and inflammation, while it is incredibly important that we are consuming unprocessed, real, whole foods, nutrient-dense foods, anti-inflammatory foods, it's incredibly important that we're absorbing the nutrients in the foods that we're eating. So many of us with autoimmunity have leaky gut. We have intestinal permeability, which means that we need to work on our gut health. We need to make sure that we are supporting our digestive processes. I have a video with digestive tips. I will link it down below. If you're trying to support your digestion and you're still feeling like something's off, working with either like a functional medical doctor, a nutritional therapy practitioner, someone one-on-one to help address your individual digestion needs can be incredibly therapeutic and beneficial, especially when it comes to reducing pain and inflammation and finding relief from your autoimmune symptoms. Next tip for reducing pain and inflammation. So it's really important to understand that a lot of our really important body processes, like the inflammation process, like healing, like repair, like detoxification, like digestion, they happen optimally in the parasympathetic state or in a relaxed state. So in other words, if we are in chronic stress, if we are always in that fight or flight mode, if we are always stressed, if we don't even know what it's like not to be stressed, our body processes are not going to function as optimally. So again, if we are under chronic stress, if we are never in a parasympathetic or relaxed state, our bodies are not given the opportunity that they need to properly digest, to properly repair, to properly heal, to properly detoxify, to properly do all those important functions. Why? Because when we are in that fight or flight mode, when we are in that stressful, that sympathetic state, cellular resources are being redirected so that we are ready to fight or flight, right? That's why it's called the fight or flight, because stress plays an incredibly important role, but problems happen in the body when we are always in that chronic stress, when we are always in that fight or flight mode. So it's really important that we learn how to reduce stress, that we learn how to trigger that parasympathetic state. There's a lot of things that we can do. We can do deep breathing exercises like the 4-7-8 deep breathing technique. We can do alternate nostril breathing. We can also do vagal nerve exercises. We can lay down on our backs and put our legs up a chair or up against a wall. We can do yoga. We could practice meditation. There's a lot of things that we can do to learn how to trigger that parasympathetic state. The first challenge is to just be aware. Acknowledge, hey, if you're under chronic stress, it's having an impact on your pain and inflammation. And reducing stress is a powerful way to improve your health and wellness and to decrease that pain and inflammation. I will say that this was one of my issues, that I was chronically stressed for years. I was constantly in a sympathetic state, and learning how to trigger that parasympathetic state and learning how to not live in chronic stress, complete game changer. There's no magic formula for everybody. We're all different. What helps me manage stress is going to look different than what helps you. But like I said, there are tricks for triggering our parasympathetic state. So I encourage you to check some of those out if this is something that you struggle with. Next tip for reducing pain and inflammation is to sleep. Make sure you're getting plenty of quality sleep. Sleep is so incredibly important when it comes to optimal health and wellness, when it comes to reducing pain and inflammation. So Shanna, why? Why is sleep so important? Why are you always talking about the importance of sleep? Good question. So sleep supports so many important roles in the body. It's where so much magic happens. It supports our inflammation processes. It supports digestion. It supports fatty acid balance. It supports endocrine function. It supports detoxification. It supports healing. It supports cardiovascular health. It supports brain function. It supports our nervous system. It supports maintaining a healthy weight, and so much more. One way that you can help reduce pain and inflammation is to make sure you are making sleep a priority. Make sure you are scheduling that time for sleep, that if you struggle with insomnia, that you are facing it and that you're working through it. I struggled with insomnia at my rock bottom, and it was so hard because anxiety was also involved, because I was waking up in the middle of the night and I'd be awake for hours. Every evening as my bedtime approached, I would start to get like anxious, like, I don't want to go through this again. I don't want to be up all night again. Like, I understand when that happens, it's hard, but there are ways to work through that. And this could be the missing link in your wellness journey. Maybe you have everything else in place, but your sleep's off. And maybe this is going to be the key, that last piece you need in place in order to reduce pain, in order to reduce inflammation, in order to find relief from your autoimmune disease or your chronic illness symptoms. So I can't emphasize enough the importance of sleep. If you need more help understanding the importance of sleep, understanding why it is the key to health and wellness, I highly encourage you to check out this book, Why We Sleep. It is by Matthew Walker, and it is a great resource for obviously why we sleep and why we need sleep. So there are a lot more tips for reducing pain, reducing inflammation. I just wanted to go ahead and give you 3 huge tips for reducing pain and inflammation to start with, and then go ahead and look into troubleshooting, look into lifestyle and mindset. The 3 tips that I gave you again are how you eat, nutrition, making sure that you're eating plenty of healthy fats, trying to macro balance your meals, getting rid of the sugar and the inflammatory foods. Doing an elimination diet if you need to can be very, very beneficial to find what foods are triggering your inflammation, are triggering some of your symptoms. Number 2 is stress, the importance of triggering that parasympathetic state, because again, that is when our body repairs and optimally digests and heals, and so many important things. Number 3 again was to sleep, to make sure that you are prioritizing sleep, to make sure that if you are dealing with insomnia, that you are working through that. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying that the first time you tried, to figure it out, it's going to work. But again, it's really important that you're trying to work towards getting at least 8 to 10 hours of quality sleep every night. I have a video all about sleep, and I will link it down below if that is something that you struggle with. Also, please keep in mind the importance of mindset, the importance of other lifestyle factors, the importance of troubleshooting our nutrition. All of these things make a difference. Again, it can feel like when we're in pain, when we're in inflammation, when we're struggling with our autoimmune symptoms or our chronic illness symptoms, that we're not in control, and that can feel very frustrating. But there are so many things in our control, but spoiler alert, it takes hard work. There's no easy answer, and it takes time and patience. Do not give up. Your health is worth it. Your wellness is worth it. Find your why. Figure out why you want to feel better. Is it to go climb Mount Everest? Is it so that you could play catch with your son? Is it so that you could take your daughter to Europe? Is it so that you could be more active with your man? Figure out what you want, make a goal and work towards it. That is going to help you get through those frustrating times when you don't feel like eating those nutrient-dense, whole anti-inflammatory foods. Your why is going to be what helps you reach for those anti-inflammatory foods instead of that comfort food. You know what happens when you reach for that comfort food, right? And I'm guessing it gets you nowhere you want to be. Please take this as slow as you need to. Please reach out if you need any help at all. I'm here to support you. I love to be here for you because I've been there. I know what it's like, and I know it's hard, but I know there's a way through it. And I promise that you can get through this. And I'm here for you. Like I mentioned, I have a lot of free resources, articles, and videos. I have an online course to help you with mindset, lifestyle, and nutrition. Everything in my course can help you reduce pain and inflammation. I also do one-on-one coaching, and I'd be so honored to get to work with you. Thank you for watching this video. Please let me know if you have any questions at all. I am happy to answer them. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're down there, please hit subscribe. I publish new videos every week. Please know I am cheering you on, and I hope you have an amazing week.